Tonight, we won't talk about the creeping shadows that stretch long across moonlit forests. We won't delve into the gnawing dread of an empty stomach or the desperate gamble of a contaminated bite. No, tonight, our terror comes from within. It emanates from the very flesh and bone that define you, and from the chilling, well-intentioned hands that seek to cure what ails you. This is a horror far more intimate, more insidious than any beast or famine. It's the silent, agonizing truth that in the Middle Ages, the remedy could be a torment far greater than the affliction itself. Your own body, once a vessel of strength and simple purpose, becomes a battlefield, a canvas for practices so barbaric, so devoid of true understanding, that mere sickness transforms into an unimaginable ordeal. To fall ill was not just a misfortune. It was to be condemned to a series of escalating tortures, administered with the best of all intentions, yet plunging you deeper into a hell of pain and despair. The promise of relief often led only to more profound suffering, a cruel irony woven into the very fabric of existence. This is the tale of medieval medicine, a time when salvation became synonymous with agony, and the path to recovery often led directly to the grave. If such unsettling truths draw you in, if the dark corners of history hold a strange fascination, then perhaps stay with us. Now, dim the lights, and let us begin this journey together. You stir from a restless sleep, but it's not the biting cold of the pre-dawn air that rouses you today. Instead, a dull, insistent ache throbs behind your eyes, a persistent pressure that makes every blink a chore. Your throat feels dry, scratchy, as if you've swallowed dust from the path, and a strange, unfamiliar chill has settled deep within your bones, despite the thin warmth of your straw mattress. This is how it begins. Not with a sudden, violent assault, but with a whisper of discomfort, an insidious, creeping wave of unease that promises something far more sinister than a mere chill. You push yourself up, the simple act sending a wave of dizziness through your head, blurring the rough-hewn walls of your humble hut. You stumble towards the communal well, the familiar path, now feeling strangely arduous. Each breath is shallow, each step heavier than the last. The water, drawn from the shallow, muddy basin, tastes metallic, almost thick, a stark contrast to the refreshing coolness you crave. But you drink because you must. You glance at your hands, cracked from toil, ingrained with the ubiquitous dirt of daily life, the grime that seems to adhere to everything in this world. A small, angry red cut, a souvenir from yesterday's work in the fields, now feels unusually tender, throbbing with a dull pain that echoes the ache in your head. It's nothing, you tell yourself, just a scratch. Yet, a cold knot of dread tightens in your gut. This is the medieval reality. Every cut, every cough, every slight fever carries the weight of a potential death sentence. A silent, unseen threat that lingers in every breath you take, in every drop of water you consume. As the sun begins its slow ascent, casting weak, dusty light through the hut's opening, a voice breaks the silence. "Are you well, my dear?" It's your mother, her eyes, usually quick and sharp, now clouded with a flicker of concern as she observes your sluggish movements. You look pale. Your brow is feverish. Her hand, rough but gentle, presses against your forehead, and you feel the distinct coolness of her palm against your unnaturally warm skin. You shrug off her concern, muttering about a restless night, trying to dismiss the growing weakness that threatens to buckle your knees. But her gaze lingers, a silent, unsettling acknowledgement of the unspoken fear that begins to permeate the small space. She glances at the cut on your hand, a slight frown creasing her brow. Perhaps a poultice. Or should we consult old Elara? She has remedies for these new fevers. Her words, meant to offer comfort, instead send a shiver down your spine. You know old Elara's remedies. You know the other cures. And you know the stories of those who went seeking them, only to return worse, or not at all. The discomfort in your body is growing, but the true agony, the cold dread, is only just beginning. The chill deepens within you, the dull ache in your head, now a persistent, hammering throb. Your skin feels clammy, yet hot to the touch, and a persistent shiver racks your frame despite the growing warmth of the hearth. You've barely touched the meager morning gruel, the thought of food now turning your stomach with a sickly lurch. Your mother, her face etched with a deeper worry than before, has been hovering, her worried glances like a physical weight upon your already burdened shoulders. The air is thick with unspoken fear, the kind that permeates a village when sickness, not just hunger, begins to tighten its grip. It is then that a shadow falls across the doorway, silencing the tentative morning sounds of the hut. The fever has taken hold, a gruff voice states rather than asks. You crane your neck, the movement sending a fresh wave of nausea through you. Standing framed by the dull light is the barber surgeon, Master Elms, a man whose presence usually signals the quick, brutal end of an aching tooth, or the careful lancing of a festering boil. Today, his customary leather apron, perpetually stained with dark, dried patches, seems impossibly gruesome, a chilling testament to the unseen fluids he routinely handles. His tools, displayed with unnerving nonchalance on a small, blood-splattered cloth carried by his young, pale apprentice, glint dully, a menacing collection of jagged lancets, crude saws, and forceps. His eyes, devoid of warmth or empathy, quickly assess your pallor, the tremor in your lips, the glazed look in your feverish eyes. The humors are out of balance, he declares, his voice flat, his gaze already moving past you to the next patient in his mind. A detached pronouncement that offers no comfort, only a chilling certainty of what is to come. He barely registers your weak growth, already reaching for a fresh, clean, or so he believes, piece of cloth. Or perhaps it is the monk healer from the nearby monastery who arrives, his robes smelling faintly of damp incense and stale herbs. He carries no cruel instruments, only a worn Bible and a pouch of dried plants. His approach is calmer. His eyes, though serious, hold a glimmer of spiritual conviction. He lays a cool, dry hand upon your brow, muttering prayers in Latin you cannot understand. The alignment of the heavens is unfavorable, he intones softly, for a malevolent spirit plagues your humors. He might consult a worn astrological chart, tracing lines across the parchment, seeking cosmic influences in your rising fever. His methods, though less outwardly brutal, are no less terrifying in their detachment from earthly remedies. You are not a person, but a spiritual puzzle, a celestial imbalance, or perhaps even a vessel for demonic influence. His proposed cure might be a bitter concoction of obscure herbs, or a period of fasting, or even endless hours of prayer and penance. Methods that would only further deplete your already weakening body, offering solace only to his own unshakable faith, not to your suffering. The fear that grips you now is not just of the pain to come, but of the absolute powerlessness you feel, completely at the mercy of their unwavering, unscientific convictions. The diagnosis is complete, a pronouncement delivered with the cold detachment of a farmer surveying a blighted crop. Now comes the cure. You lie on a rough, splintered wooden table, or perhaps simply on the damp, earthen floor of your hut, a few crude rags beneath you offering no comfort. The air is thick with the metallic tongue of old blood, the acrid scent of unwashed bodies, and the faint, unsettling sweetness of decay. You try to close your eyes, to retreat into the fog of your fever, but the sharp gleam of metal or the unsettling presence of the healer keeps them wide, transfixed in a blend of fear and morbid fascination. Your mother or a trembling neighbor holds you down, their grip firm but their eyes full of a helpless sorrow. To balance the humors, Master Elms, the barber surgeon, intones, his voice an unfeeling drone. He selects a broad, tarnished lancet from his array of tools. The blade, dull from countless uses, catches the flickering light of a single tallow candle. He presses it against your forearm, the skin feeling unusually tender, almost fragile, under the pressure. Then a sharp, searing slice. Pain, hot and immediate, blossoms on your skin, a shocking contrast to the dull ache that has plagued you. A thick, dark stream of your own blood, vital and warm, begins to flow, pooling rapidly into a crude, unwashed wooden bowl held below. The rhythmic drip, drip, drip becomes a terrifying countdown, each drop carrying away a piece of your strength, your consciousness. The room begins to swim, the faces above you blurring, their voices fading into a distant hum. You feel a profound weakness, a dizzying emptiness where your life force once resided. He watches impassively, only stopping when your lips are pale and your pulse is a faint flutter beneath his callous thumb. The bad blood is gone, he declares, as if he has performed a miracle, even as the room spins around you and a creeping cold replaces the fever's heat. Perhaps, if your ailment is thought to be more subtle, or if bleeding has yielded no results, the monk healer might propose a different, equally unsettling method. He approaches with a jar filled with wriggling black creatures, leeches. Their slimy bodies glisten in the dim light, repulsive and alien. He places them carefully, precisely, on the skin over your throbbing temples or your aching joints. You feel a strange, sucking sensation, a cold, insistent tug as they attach themselves. It's not agonizing, not in the way the lancet was, but deeply, viscerally disturbing. You watch, horrified and fascinated, as their bodies slowly distend, becoming plump and engorged with your blood, dark and swollen. The thought that these creatures are feeding on you, consuming your vitality in the name of a cure, is profoundly unsettling. A silent, parasitic horror. He murmurs prayers, his eyes fixed on the swollen bodies of the leeches, as if drawing spiritual power from their gruesome feast. Should your wound fester, turning a putrid green and spreading its foul odor, the cure becomes even more direct, more brutally agonizing. The barber surgeon, perhaps with a grim set to his jaw, brings forth a pair of crude iron tongs, heated to a terrifying glow in the embers of the fire. The air fills with the sickening smell of hot metal. You instinctively recoil, but strong hands hold you firm. The searing heat approaches, closer, closer, until it touches your skin. A scream, raw and involuntary, tears from your throat as the sizzle of burning flesh fills the air, mingling with the acrid stench. This is cauterization, a desperate act to stop infection or bleeding, but an agony that sears itself into your very soul. You taste blood, either from biting your lip or from the sheer shock of pain, and your world explodes in white-hot agony, only to slowly fade into a merciful blackness. When you next open your eyes, the wound is a blackened, smoking crater, but the pain, oh, the pain, remains, a fiery brand forever etched into your memory. The agonizing pain of the cure slowly subsides, leaving behind a dull throb, a constant reminder of the violation your body has just endured. But the relief is fleeting, an illusion shattered by a more insidious dread. The bandage, if you were fortunate enough to receive one, is a crude strip of linen, often unwashed, perhaps even taken from a previous, less fortunate patient. It quickly becomes soaked with fluid, turning a putrid yellow-green, stiffening with dried matter, and emitting a sickeningly sweet odor that clings to the air around you. This is the scent of infection, a silent killer far more cunning than any blade or leech. It is the undeniable proof that the cure has failed, and in its failure has opened the gates to an even greater torment. You lie in your bed, a straw mattress teeming with unseen life, your skin prickling with the constant crawl of fleas and lice. The air in the hut is heavy with the mingled smells of stale food, unemptied chamber pots, and the pervasive growing stench of your own ailing body. There is no concept of sterile fields, no understanding of microscopic invaders. The healer may have wiped his crude tools on the same apron he wore to slaughter pigs, or perhaps cleansed them in the very water you drink. Every touch, every breath, every insect that lands on your skin is a potential harbinger of disease, a silent vector for the unseen malevolence that now consumes you from within. The world around you, once merely unkempt, now feels like a living, breathing, breeding ground for your demise. Your fever, far from abating, now rages with renewed vengeance. Your skin is hot, burning, yet you shiver uncontrollably. The wound, whether from the lancet or the cautery, begins to swell, turning a furious red, then a bruised purple. Pus, thick and yellow, oozes from the edges, each beat of your heart sending a fresh wave of throbbing pain through the limb. This is gangrene, a word you've heard whispered in hushed tones, a terrifying harbinger of decay. The flesh around the wound darkens, becoming cold and numb, losing all sensation, yet the surrounding pain intensifies. The scent of putrefaction is undeniable now, a cloying, sweet stench that fills your nostrils, making you gag. You try to move, to shift, but your limbs feel heavy, unresponsive, as if they are already succumbing to the decay. The healer returns, his face now etched with a subtle frustration, perhaps even a hint of fear. He pokes at the wound with a stick or an unwashed finger, his brow furrowed, muttering about bad humors or unfavorable alignments. He might try another round of bloodletting, drawing more of your precious lifeblood, or apply another foul-smelling poultice made of herbs and animal waste, hoping to draw out the poisons, but his actions are futile. You can see it in his eyes, in the way he avoids your gaze. He does not understand. He cannot comprehend that his very cures have made you worse, that the primitive nature of his knowledge has doomed you. The true enemy is invisible, relentless, thriving in the very conditions that define your medieval existence. You are trapped, your body consumed by an unseen predator, while those meant to help only exacerbate the torment. The physical torment is now a constant, dull roar in your ears, a relentless companion that never truly leaves. But beneath the searing pain of your infected limb, beneath the fever that blurs the edges of reality, a deeper, colder agony takes root. The psychological toll. Your mind, once focused on daily tasks, now obsesses over every twitch, every throb, every new discoloration of your skin. Sleep offers no escape. It plunges you into vivid, cruel nightmares where the healer's face looms, contorted into a monstrous grin, or where your own body, gangrenous and rotting, lies discarded in the ditch. You wake, heart hammering, only to find the reality almost as grim as the dream. Your body a living testament to its own slow, inevitable decay. The world shrinks to the confines of your hut, and within that small space, your thoughts become your most relentless tormentors. Hope, once a distant ember, flickers and dies. You are utterly helpless, a prisoner within your own deteriorating flesh. The cures have only served to exacerbate your suffering, leaving you weaker, more vulnerable, and utterly disillusioned. Every gesture from the healer, every murmured prayer or crude poultice is met with a bitter cynicism. You understand with chilling clarity that they possess no true power to mend you, only to inflict further pain. In their ignorance, this realization is a deeper wound than any lancet could inflict, robbing you of the last vestige of trust in a system designed to help. You're a subject of their gruesome experiments, a body to be prodded and cut, not a person to be healed. The sense of utter powerlessness is crushing, suffocating. As your condition worsens, so too does your isolation. Your mother, once a constant presence, now approaches your bed with a heavy heart and averted eyes, her sorrow tainted by a subtle, creeping fear. Neighbors, who once offered words of comfort, now keep their distance, their visits becoming shorter, their glances more fleeting. They fear the contagion, the unseen evil that consumes you, or perhaps they fear the reminder of their own mortality, of a fate that could easily befall them. You become an outcast, a living memento mori, a stark reminder of the fragile line between health and agonizing demise. The sounds of daily life outside, the distant chatter, the laughter of children, the bleating of sheep become muffled, alien, separated from your reality by an invisible wall of suffering. You are alone with your pain, alone with the growing certainty that this is the end, abandoned not by malice, but by the overwhelming, terrifying ignorance of the age. In your delirium, fragmented memories of a healthy body, of movement without pain, of food that brought sustenance instead of fear, flicker like dying embers. You grasp at them, desperately trying to recall a time when your own body was not a source of constant dread, a canvas for unholy procedures. But the present reality is too overwhelming. The smell of decay, the incessant ache, the growing coldness in your limbs. These are your companions now. You are dying, not just from the ailment, but from the brutal cures and the profound lack of understanding that turned healing into an agonizing descent into darkness. As the last flicker of life retreats from your ravaged body, the stench of decay and the lingering phantom pains are your final companions. The crude tools of the healer, once symbols of desperate hope, now lie silent, inert, their purpose unfulfilled, their legacy etched in the agony they inflicted. You have succumbed not merely to the unseen disease that first whispered its presence, but to the very hands that promised solace, to the brutal, ignorant practices that turned every attempt at salvation into an additional layer of torment. This is the true horror of medieval medicine. It was a time when the very act of seeking a cure became a gamble with your life, not against the disease itself, but against the chilling incompetence and raw brutality of those sworn to heal. It wasn't the monsters lurking in the shadows or the gnawing plague of hunger that consumed you. No, this terror was far more intimate, more agonizing. It was the torment inflicted by human hands, born of superstition and ignorance, turning your own body into a living laboratory of pain. Your final moments are not of peace, but of a lingering, bitter understanding. The disease was a curse, yes, but the cure was a prolonged, excruciating sentence. In the dark corners of the Middle Ages, there was no gentle hand of healing, no respite from suffering, only the cold steel, the burning iron, the sucking leech, and the unwavering conviction that agony was merely the price of a salvation that would never come. And so the story of the cruel cure now fades into the shadows, a grim testament to a time when hope was a tormentor, and the only certainty was the omnipresent shadow of pain. Remember this silent terror, this hidden agony, for it truly lurks in the most unexpected places, even within the deceptive promise of a cure. But as its final echoes drift away, allow yourself to release the weight of its darkness. Let the images of burning iron and cold steel dissolve into the vast, quiet canvas of your mind. Feel the tension in your shoulders melt, the fear in your heart ease as the gentle current of the deep night washes over you. There is no more pain, no more struggle, only the profound calm of true rest. Breathe deeply, slowly, calmly. Embrace the stillness that surrounds you, the soothing darkness that invites you to drift. Let the fire crackle and the fear subside. Subscribe for more tales of the night.